be campaigning for a candidate. Audience members, please also refrain from applauding until the final candidate has provided closing remarks and the moderator has concluded the event. Sharing the stage with me is Angel San Juan from Channel 6. Angel will be the moderator for this forum. Please help me welcome Angel.
Thank you, Amy, and thank you to the Beaumont Chamber of Commerce for offering me this opportunity. I think this is an excellent event and very helpful for our citizens, both in here and, of course, watching on the live stream. But I am honored to be with all of you, especially all you candidates up here. We're going to have fun for a little bit. I know a lot of you personally, and so I'm honored to be with our little reunion of sorts. But each candidate will get a 2-minute opening statement. They will get a minute to respond to the questions that I ask, and then you will get a closing statement, a wrap up of 2 minutes. So 2, 1, and 2. And I think I won't have to really wrap you up because that alarm is really loud. So that's what I need to wake up each morning. So that'll help us get through it. But again, without further ado, we have the 4 guys in the middle. They're running for at-large. And on either side of those guys, we have Councilman Getz, who is running for Ward 2. And we have, of course, Mr. Terry Roy, who's running for Ward 3. So you kind of get a mix of your council up here. So let's start with our first question. And that'll go to Councilman Getz, who is running for the Ward 2. Opening statement. Yes. Thank you. This is Peyton, who's been guiding me through this. I appreciate it. So yes, opening statements. We'll start with Councilman Getz, please.
Thank you, Angel, and thank you to the Beaumont Chamber of Commerce for doing this forum. I am Michael Getz, and I am an incumbent councilman, having served in Ward 2 since 2011. I grew up in Port Arthur, moved to Beaumont to attend Lamar University in 1976, graduated from there in 1978, and shortly thereafter went to work for the Boy Scouts of America, which has always been a big part of my life. I'm an Eagle Scout, and through the scouting program, I learned how important it is to help other people at all times. I enjoyed working for the Boy Scouts, but I needed to find a job that paid a little bit better. So after a few years working for BSA, I went to work for the post office. I put myself through law school working for the post office, and I've practiced law here in Beaumont for 30 years. I've been retired for 5 years now. I started serving on council in 2011, and I have been very pleased to be able to be a part of a lot of things that have helped move Beaumont forward. This is going to be a very big year in the history of Beaumont municipal government because there's going to be big changes on our council just by virtue of people not returning to office and people retiring. But during the time that I've been on council, I focused on 3 things: constituent service, fiscal responsibility, and infrastructure. And I will continue to focus on those 3 ideas and core values in the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Getz. And we would like to now go to Brian Naveau, one of the candidates for your at-large position, with your opening statements.
Thank you, Chambers. Appreciate the opportunity to come and speak with y'all and all the viewers out there. Brian Naveau, running for City Council at large. Beaumont resident about 10 years. Been in Dowling West, and I now live over in Caldwood. Raised 3 great boys. They flew the coop. So got one in the military, one in Utah, first responder, fireman, EMT, and then my youngest one, he's still got another couple of years of school left. So give me a lot more free time during the day and in the evening, so to speak, increase my service work. Speaking of service work, over the last 4 years, I've taken appointments with the Community Development Advisory Committee, Police Advisory Committee. I started my own charity, Make Ends Meet. We help single parent families throughout Beaumont. Caldwood Area Neighborhood Association president, and a couple of other things that I could think of that we do just across town, trash pickups and things like that, just to make a contribution. I've been asked this question: why are you running? I've been serving. I'll continue to serve, whether I'm elected, whether I'm appointed, or whether I'm asked. I thought this was a unique opportunity to make a contribution to my city. Pastor Felshaw is running for another position and left a seat open. And so I felt that it was an opportunity that I could take to expand my contribution. I appreciate your support, and any questions at the end, be happy to answer them after we finish up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Naveau. And now we would like to go on for another one of our candidates running for the at-large seats, Michael Williams.
Thank you, Angel. My name is Mike Williams. I'm running for Beaumont City Council at large. I'm a husband, father, I own Longhorn Liquor. And I moved to Beaumont in 2017 to start my family and grow my business, and I've done both. We started our business from the ground up, no blueprint, no safety net, no guarantee that it would even work. Like many people in this room, I've spent nights figuring out how to make payroll, how to expand, how to adapt. I've dealt with red tape, rising costs, and the weight of real responsibility. I know what it takes to build something that lasts. And I think it's important to have that kind of thinking at City Hall. I think a lot of times city government can get distracted. We hear feel-good promises, broad missions, and vague goals. City Council has a clear role: public safety, infrastructure, responsible budgeting, and creating a foundation for economic growth, not controlling it, but enabling it. And that's the approach I would bring. I believe good governance creates conditions where families will choose to stay in town, where businesses can thrive, and where the private sector, not City Hall, drives progress in this town. Economic development is not a department across the street. It's an outcome of doing the basics right. And so that's my focus. I think if we do the basics right, then we can expect the growth and change to happen in Beaumont. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. William. And now we go to the third candidate running for at-large, and that is AJ Turner.
Hello, guys. First and foremost, thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for putting on this event. It's important that we're able to get the information out and respond to citizens that they would like to hear. I would like to say congratulations in advance to everybody who put themselves on the front line, because when you run for office, not only you running, your whole family's running. Everybody's involved. Your whole life is on the front line, and it's always going to be a microscope on you. So I'm Albert Turner. I'm born and raised in Beaumont, Texas. I graduated from high school and I went off to college, got my degree, and I decided to come back to my community. One of the main reasons I wanted to run when I first decided to run in 2019, I actually lost by 133 votes. And like most people, what do you do in the face of adversity when you lose? I decided to run again for re-election, and I came back after losing, and I got the most votes in the history of Beaumont. But I'm thankful because I could have gave up, I could have walked away, but I wanted the community to know that I was here to stay. I'm the director of operations for a transportation logistics company. We have contracts with Amazon and FedEx. I manage roughly over 100 employees. And out of these 100 employees, I'm responsible for making sure we have an efficient business, and I run the day-to-day operations. I'm responsible for when costs do go up and how can I make sure things are efficient within my company and we stay profitable. And government, we need to understand that we work for the people. And the people who put us in office, and we don't do a good job listening to those people, sometimes you lose your position. In 2022, 2021, I was named Chamber of Commerce Young Professional of the Year, and I'm thankful for that. Since being on council, I was a big advocate of the Chamber of Commerce, and we increased the funding almost $50,000 to $60,000 than what we've done in the past to support economic development. I think in order to grow this city, you have to have strong economic development. You have to have a strong foundation in order for us to be successful. And again, I'm a husband, I'm a father of 4 beautiful girls, and I love my family to death, and I attend Antioch Missionary Baptist Church under Pastor John Adolph. Looking forward to this debate.
Thank you, Councilman Turner. And now we would like to introduce the final candidate that is running for the at-large. He's a councilman currently on the council. He is Odwin Samuel.
Good evening. I'm Odwin Samuel. I'm born in Newton, Texas, but I've been in Beaumont most of my life. That's over 60 years of my life. Thank you for allowing us to voice our concerns and let you know what we believe in and why we're running. I've heard, to whom much is given, much is required. I came to Beaumont with my parents. They were both teachers. They moved to Beaumont, and I attended Beaumont High School, graduate of 1972, went on to then received my bachelor's degree, going on to Texas Southern University, Thurgood Marshall School of Law, got my doctorate, and I've chosen to make Beaumont better. Make Beaumont better, a better place that we can all be happy to call home, a place that will provide us with a safe place to raise our families and raise our children and make sure that we have a common goal. So why am I here? Some ask, why did I leave Ward 3 to go at large? I understand that in order to make a difference, it's not one individual on council that will make a difference. It's the team. It's working together. And out of the 7 members on council, in order to pass anything, it takes 4 votes. I've made that decision that I want to continue to make Beaumont better when we talk about public safety, crime prevention. We're making progress in making Beaumont a place we can all say is a safe place. We're moving in that direction. Public service is.
Thank you, Councilman Samuel. And now for the Ward 3 seat is Terry Roy, who will be, he's one of the candidates for Ward 3.
All right. Good evening. First, I want to thank the chamber for inviting me. Like I said, my name is Terry Roy, and I'm running for City Council Ward 3. I've been in Beaumont all my life, 64 years. I'm married, 3 kids, 9 grandkids. So those are the reasons why I fight for the city like I do. I'll probably always will be an advocate for people because my campaign is mostly for the people. It's not for me. And I want to try to do the best that I can for people. I want to be more transparent. I want to improve our infrastructure, which I think is the main catalyst for us to have growth in this city. If we don't improve on that, then our city will always be in a demise. I want to include all citizens in decision making that I make if elected. And I would appreciate any kind of vote, any vote that anybody choose to give me. Thank you.
Okay, that was everyone's opening statement. Thank you so much. And now we will begin the question segment of this forum. And we're going to stay starting with you, Mr. Roy. The first question, and again, Mr. Roy is running for Ward 3. In your view, what are the 1 or 2 major issues facing the city of Beaumont?
To me, it's really infrastructure and transparency. We have some of the worst infrastructure, in my opinion, in this area. And they say we spend so much, a certain amount of money on infrastructure, but I think it needs to be more. If we spend $6 million, we need to spend $30 million because we have so many issues that goes on throughout the city. Like we have people that really can't flush a commode when it rains. We have people that's been dealing with that for over 30 years. And those are some of the calls that I get even now. And every time I get one of those calls, I email the council and let them know so that they can know that this is what people are going through. And if we don't correct that anytime soon, we're not going to grow as a city because it's people that's leaving because of that. I was one of those people that suffered through that for 14 years. And that's one of the main things we need to straighten.
Thank you. That was Terry Roy. And just a reminder, and you did good, Mr. Roy, but pretty much for the answer sessions, you will get a minute for responses. So now for our at-large candidate, Councilman Audwin Samuel.
I think right now, water, sewer, street, and drainage, and public safety. Those are the areas that I believe we have to focus our attention on. Everyone wants to have a safe place to call home, to protect your families. While you're at home, you want to have the services of clean water coming in and sewer water going out, as well as we all want to have a place that we feel that your concerns are heard. So water, sewer, street and drainage, public safety, those are the areas that I believe are needing our attention at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Samuel. And now, Mr. Turner, you have the mic for the same question. Again, in your view, what are the one or two major issues facing the city of Beaumont?
The number one major issue facing the city of Beaumont is misinformation. Too often we have something called social media. We can get on there and post whatever we want to post, and no one fact checks it, or we don't cite anything that the statistics that we posted from. I challenge you guys in this election, when people post things, ask them to provide the data where they get this information from. Factual information is what you guys have to rely on to make proper decisions in the community of Beaumont. And too often I see people post whatever they want to post, and it's not accurate, and you confuse the community that you say you want to lead. It doesn't work that way. If you're going to post something, give the data and the facts behind it to prove what you're stating. My second thing is population growth and economic development. This community has died and population has remained stagnant. If we don't grow in population, we won't have the funding to support infrastructure engagement. You have to have funding and population growth to bring revenue to Beaumont and economic development. It's important to know that we passed some of the most permits we ever passed in the history of Beaumont in this last current council.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. And now we go to another candidate for at-large, Michael Williams.
Yeah, I believe that Beaumont has a leadership problem and a population problem. We are losing people regularly or remaining stagnant. Businesses are struggling, and when you lose people, you're losing sales tax dollars. You have people that aren't building houses here, aren't spending money in town, and so that's less money in the city's pockets to take care of the issues that we are facing: infrastructure, public safety. It's important that we support these things, our first responders, and shoring up issues. But if you don't have the money to do so, it becomes hard to do. So, I think we need to figure out a way to retain population to address the issues that we have.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. And now Mr. Naveau, another candidate for at-large. The same question.
Repeat it, please.
Sure. In your view, what are the one or two major issues facing the city of Beaumont?
I believe there are three, but community development, public safety, and infrastructure. And those are my main three on my platform and have been since I started with this. We have a capital plan that needs to be put together in a budget, and we have no CFO at the point. That could change tomorrow, but it's a little difficult to put that kind of a thing together when we don't really have the leadership and the right person in place. So that's something that concerns me. Public safety has been on my radar for years. I've been living here just like everyone else and sees the crime rates, things like that. We do have real-time crime center, which is making a big difference, but we still have a lot to do and a long ways to go. Infrastructure, number three, I believe that we've already discussed everything in here about not being able to flush toilets, roads, potholes, things like that. But we have to have the money comes from somewhere, and that rolls back down to a CFO that's good with getting grants, that's good with structuring the budget properly to where we don't have to deficit spend.
Thank you, Mr. Naveau. And now Mr. Getz, who's running for Ward 2. The question again, in your view, what are the one or two major issues facing the city of Beaumont?
I think the top two major issues are fiscal responsibility and infrastructure. Fiscal responsibility is a major issue because for the last couple of years, we're spending more money than we're bringing in. That's why I was pleased last week to put on the agenda an item to modify what the definition is for our city's balanced budget so that it is now you're not going to be spending more money than you're bringing in. That is important. And so that is something that passed unanimously. I was happy to see that. On the other hand, infrastructure needs money to do the repairs that are necessary to get where we want to be. That might be accomplished through a bond issue, but any bond issue needs to be approached very carefully. I wouldn't support a bond issue, for instance, that's dedicated to building a riverwalk downtown. I think that would be foolish. That's a want, not a need. But a bond issue that would bring in a lot of money for infrastructure could be something that I would get behind. And of course, the citizens would have to vote for it.
Thank you, Mr. Getz. And now we're moving on to our second question. And sticking with finances, we'll begin with you, Mr. Getz. Do you believe the city of Beaumont should adopt a balanced budget every year? Does your interpretation of a balanced budget allow for the use of rainy day fund to cover any outstanding balances?
So as I just mentioned in my last response, no, I don't think that that is an appropriate definition of a balanced budget, to use your rainy day fund to balance your budget. I think you should always strive to have your expenditures not exceed your revenues. And per last week, that became the definition that we're going to follow. We're going to do that going forward. There have been years before where we have budgeted to use the rainy day fund, our general fund, to help balance the budget. I don't think that is the best way to proceed financially. I don't think it's a conservative way. I think you need to try to increase your revenues by growing your businesses in the community, by growing your tax base, and be conscious of where you're spending your money and not be wasteful when you spend it.
Thank you, Mr. Getz. And now, Mr. Naveau, I'll repeat the question to you. Do you believe the city of Beaumont should adopt a balanced budget every year? Does your interpretation of a balanced budget allow for the use of rainy day fund to cover any outstanding balances?
Absolutely think we should be fiscally responsible and have a balanced budget based on what we take in. There are instances where we do have extenuating circumstances. A hurricane comes through, we have to spend our own money, which we hope to get in return, but that can take years. We can raise revenue in two different ways. We either expand our base with business to bring in more revenue, or we raise taxes. The only other way is I actually pulled the state code. This is deals with municipal, the parameters in which municipalities can invest their monies. Speaking of the rainy day fund, we are, I believe, underinvested. I'm not a CFO, but I run a company from my own, and I would invest the money a little more wisely, but we do need a CFO in there, which we go back to that, to see where our money is allocated. If it's all into bonds, and it could be into other vehicles like mutual funds and other things that it does allow, we might be able to make another $1 million a year. So there's more to it than what we have time for. Sorry.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Naveau. Mr. Williams, do you want me to repeat the question, or? Okay,
Good. No, I mean, I think that, I'm happy that the city now acknowledges that a balanced budget is where revenues exceed expenditures. I think that's important. And I think that's probably the majority of people on this planet's definition of a balanced budget. I understand that there are circumstances that might arise where you have unexpected costs and maybe you have to dip into that rainy day fund. But making it common practice could eliminate the ability to do so whenever an emergency situation arises. And so when you're dealing with taxpayer dollars and building a budget, I think it's important that you, are conservative on what your expenditures are going to be and what you're going to bring in to make sure that you fall in line and you don't spend more than you bring in.
okay. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Turner, you're next.
This is why I say transparency is important, because everybody in here in business, if you have revenue coming in, you don't pick one stream of the revenue, which is the general fund, and only count that. We also have enterprise funds, and you haven't heard one candidate since we started talking about this mention the enterprise funds, which are double the amount of revenue that we had in the past in the city of Beaumont. And this is what I mean by legitimate information. Our bond rating hasn't changed. If we were in financial trouble or something was going wrong economically, the bond rating would change. That hasn't took place. And this is what I mean by transparent information, putting everything out there and making sure the community understands that. One of the biggest things is we need to have economic development tools. We need to have candidates with solutions, not just identifying the problems. I helped lead the TERS coming to the city of Beaumont. I helped with the House Bill 5012 coming to the city of Beaumont. Once again, we're talking about getting revenue to the city versus talking about the expenses going out. We got to be proactively and just as well as talking about how we're going to get revenue in as well.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. And now we'll go on to Mr. Samuel answering the same question. Do you believe the city of Beaumont should adopt a balanced budget every year? Does your interpretation of a balanced budget allow for the use of a rainy day fund to cover any outstanding balances?
Well, I believe the city of Beaumont has maintained a balanced budget over the years. Now, some have tried to use that as a means of saying it's not prudent in their decisions. We had over $298 million revenues coming in 2025, and our expenses were $299 million. But we also have a fund balance of $92 million. That was a starting fund balance. And in municipal government, they use the fund balances. It has to be over at least 30%. So we've been over our 20%, and ours have been more at 30. So we've not been, we're not in trouble. We have a AA rating. We've met all the criteria to say we have a sound budget. We have a fund balance now of $90 million, which is 30%.
Thank you, Mr. Samuel. And Mr. Roy, who's running for Ward 3, same question. Oh, sure, no problem. Do you believe the city of Beaumont should adopt a balanced budget every year? Does your interpretation of a balanced budget allow for the use of a rainy day fund to cover any outstanding balances?
Yeah, I think the budget is already fine where it is. We should adopt a balanced budget. That way, you know, we'll know what all we have coming in and going out. But we, as far as the rainy day fund, I don't think that we should have that. But could you ask it again?
Oh, sure, no problem. Let me see. Do you believe the city of Beaumont should adopt a balanced budget every year? Does your interpretation of a balanced budget allow for the use of rainy day fund to cover any outstanding balances?
Like I said, we should adopt a balanced budget every year because that way you'll know exactly what you have in your budget.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Roy. And now we're moving on to our third question. I'm going to kind of mix this up a bit. So, Mr. Roy, could you give the mic to Mr. Turner? We're going to try to see if I, oh, y'all got a mic. I'm silly. Sorry about that. That makes it a lot easier. So we're going to start with you, Mr. Turner, for this round. What position, program, or department would you cut if revenues were less than expenses?
That's an interesting question. And one of the most important things is when you look at the revenues and expenses in Beaumont, our biggest revenue is public safety. Now, would anybody in this room want to cut public safety? Absolutely not. But we're at 60% of a public safety budget when the state average is 51%. So if we're talking about being financially sound, we have to follow the trend. We don't want to be the city way over the percentages that we need to be in. So if I had to cut a department, I would cut the positions that are on field. And when I say the positions that are on field, if we have operated for 2 years without this position in the city of Beaumont, we shouldn't have that position on the books anymore. I think that would be the smartest thing to do is to start there and start being very efficient with our budget and our spending. If we have budgets that we need to stay within, since similar to overtime, we need to stay within our budgets. We need to cut at the places before we start cutting people's jobs and taking their livelihood away with their families and making sure they're being efficient in their position. If they're not, they need to be replaced or gone.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. And now we go to Mr. Williams with the same question. What position, program, or department would you cut if revenues were less than expenses?
Well, I definitely wouldn't cut public safety. They're understaffed as it is, both fire and police. You know, I would, you know, I've got departments like that I would consider essential. And I'm sure there are several other essential departments within City Hall. You know, I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm 100% aware of every department, but I would look at, you know, departments that aren't essential, like public safety, and see, you know, are they a part of a, you know, priority that focuses on public safety, infrastructure, things that are so important to this city, and start there. But I would really, if we're talking about cutting, I would want to put my eyes on the situation before I, start slashing away at things.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Williams. Now we go to Mr. Samuel. Same question. What position, program, or department would you cut if revenues were less than expenses?
It would be non-essential employees, and I would say non-essential departments. When I say that, I'm talking about rather than looking at fire and police, I would look at parks and recreation, those items that are not necessary, but deal with those things that are needed.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Samuel. And now we go to Mr. Naveau. Same question.
I would first start with redundant high-level managers, like we have 2 assistant city managers. That would be number 1 on the chopping block. We have about 16 departments, and any other redundant, high-paying assistants that we don't need, we can have them re-interview for their jobs.
Thank you, Mr. Naveau. And now Mr. Roy.
I wouldn't want to cut anybody's job. I would try to find a way that we could streamline those things. Cut some hours out of it every week. But that's where I would start. I would try to streamline a lot of things.
Thank you, Mr. Roy. And Mr. Getz, same question. What position, program, or department would you cut if revenues were less than expenses?
I would hate to have to cut any departments, but if I had to, and we were in that situation, I would probably look at libraries, because when libraries were created, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have Google. Now you can go online and find your information right from the comfort of your home. But libraries do serve an important purpose in our community, and I would hate to have to cut them. But if forced to do so, I would probably start there.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Getz. We're now entering our 4th question, and this one we will start with Mr. Williams. In your opinion, what is the most important infrastructure project for the city of Beaumont?
I'm not a engineer. My background's in retail, but if you knock on doors and you listen to people on the street, and even if you drive down our streets, I mean, there are several roads that aren't in good condition, and that's not great. But the water and sewer and the backup, and there's talk of a bond, and that hasn't been done in 40 years. So that probably means that there's major infrastructure upgrades that have been needed for quite some time. And you hear stories of people that have dealt with such issues for a while. And so, I think it's important that we listen to the complaints of the people, and we listen to the engineers and department heads that we have hired for their expertise, and we start there.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Turner, same question for you. In your opinion, what is the most important infrastructure project for the city of Beaumont?
The most important infrastructure product is by far sewer and drainage. The CARES Act funding, the city of Beaumont got $32 million in CARES Act funding that came from the coronavirus. This council could have chose anything in the past to put that funding towards, but we took $29 million out of that $32 million and inserted it straight into sewer and drainage. And to say that the council isn't listening to the concerns of the citizens of Beaumont, when you took that much money, you could have did multiple things with it. That showed that we're listening and we hear you guys. Infrastructure is a major concern. I challenge people to go back and look at the infrastructure budget in the past. Do a financial forecast. Look at the last 5 years compared to the 5 years prior to that and see how much money the city had budgeted for sewer and drainage. I welcome anybody to sit with me and I can show you everything and walk you through it. If I had more time, I would do it right now. But with the restraint of 1 minute, we definitely need to focus on sewer and drainage. And this council has spent the most money in the history of any council on sewer and drainage with that funding that came from the CARES Act funding.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. And now, Mr. Naveau, same question for you.
I would have to say sewer is the most complaints that we're getting. two options that we're going to get the extra money to really make a difference would either be bonds, which we'd have to vote on, or grants. And if we have a creative CFO that can come in and look at things a little differently, read more state code, read more federal code, as far as grants go, there might be something available for us that we have overlooked.
Thank you, Mr. Naveau. And now, Mr. Samuel, in your opinion, what is the most important infrastructure project for the city of Beaumont?
Water and sewer, because it deals with public health. We've put a lot of money in water sewer, as well as public safety. We've done a good job with our street and drainage, but I would say water and sewer is the most important at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Samuel. And now, Mr. Getz, same question for you.
Water, sewer, and drainage. And the thing is, when you're trying to cover that, those types of improvements out of the enterprise fund, then you're only really going to be able to put Band-Aids on it, because the enterprise fund is populated by sales of water, and you can only raise your rates so much. So once you have done that, and we already have citizens that complain about our water rates, you can't really get enough money to get ahead unless you do something by selling water bonds. So when you look at going out for these types of millions of dollars, these types of projects are very expensive. You've got to go out and get bonds to cover the types of expenditures necessary to make the significant improvements in the infrastructure that need to be made.
Thank you, Mr. Getz. And same question for you, Mr. Roy. In your opinion, what is the most important infrastructure project for the city of Beaumont?
Like I said, like everyone said, it has to be water, sewer, and streets.
Okay, thank you so much. You guys are doing great. Now we're going to question number 5, and we will begin with Mr. Samuel. What are your economic development priorities for Beaumont?
My priority, I would say, is downtown development, the river, across the nation. Those cities that have natural resources and capitalize on it, they've been thriving downtowns. And right now, we've not capitalized on a natural resource that we have, and that's the nature's river. And I think that's where we've placed our focus, and we have to complete that task.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Samuel. Mr. Naveau, what are your economic development priorities for Beaumont?
I'm getting a lot of feedback just because I like to put out Facebook posts and kind of ask what it is that the community is looking for. And one gentleman has brought it to my attention of something like one of the huge call centers that we used to get. I don't know that those are even feasible anymore. They're more outsourced. I've heard of using our port system to bring in new something like an Amazon hub, since everybody's doing virtual shopping instead of brick and mortar buildings. I've been doing a lot of getting a lot of feedback about restaurants and things like that, but there's only so many restaurants we can have. We need to look at other areas. But I would be very excited to get something like an Amazon distribution hub that would create a whole lot of jobs here. New York actually had the opportunity to do that a few years ago, and they shut that idea down and sent it elsewhere.
Thank you, Mr. Naveau. And now we go to, let me see here, Mr. Turner.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. What are your economic development priorities for the city of Beaumont?
My economic development priorities are simple: bringing more revenue to the city of Beaumont, making the city more welcoming to businesses. One of the main things that I pushed for since I've been on council was the TERS, the tax reinvestment zone. In the city of Beaumont, we always find ourselves in a position where we're saying we need more revenue, but we're not going out figuring out ways to bring it to the city. I went to a conference in Washington, D.C. and heard about this new tool that we can use. And I found out cities who were growing all over the nation were using fundings like this TERS. So this TERS funding, we can utilize it. At first, the focus of council was downtown, but I asked, can we look at broadening it beyond downtown and looking at I-10 as well as 69? So we can use this funding and incentivize businesses to actually develop different businesses in our undeveloped areas. And again, I think these are the type of things we need to be doing when we're looking at economic development. We can identify problems, empty lots, but what are we doing to bring the solutions, to bring this revenue and these businesses to our community?
Thank you, Mr. Turner. And now, Mr. Williams, what are your economic development priorities for Beaumont?
Yeah, like I said earlier, economic development isn't a department at City Hall. I think that, the businesses that are in town, the ones that are struggling, it doesn't help when our population remains stagnant or even shrinks. And so, economic development to me just goes back to doing what we can to retain and enhance the businesses that we have. I mean, I own a business in town. And I'm not saying I'm not open to competition, but for me to succeed, I don't need more businesses. I need more people. And businesses and investors follow people. And, the TERS and things of that nature are great ideas, but they're imaginary lines until somebody actually invest in the area. And so, I think for any business, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Getz, same question for you.
Because of where we're located, we're blessed with the nature's river, good railroads, good interstate. We're going to get industrial development here, and we have been, and it's just exploding exponentially. What I would like to see in terms of economic development is a focus on tech and make downtown perhaps a tech corridor using some of the tools that we have, the TERS program that we have. We do actually have an economic development officer now at City Hall, and she is tasked with going out trying to find new businesses, new types of businesses to bring into Beaumont. We can no longer rely on us just sitting around waiting for them to come to us. We've got to go out and market ourselves. We are uniquely situated for a lot of businesses to come to Beaumont, but we have to tell our story and get them to look at us.
Thank you, Mr. Getz. And Mr. Roy, what are your economic development priorities for the city of Beaumont?
Our economic developments are to try to make the city more investor friendly. I think if we become more investor friendly, the economic development will come. Beaumont has a lot of positive things going on with it. We have, like I said, we have the downtown, we have the river, we have the water, we have, like in the south end, we have the old town. We have old town, the south end, and the north end. We have to make those sides of town investor friendly. And once we do that, I think the economic development will come.
Thank you so much, Mr. Roy. Now we're going into our sixth question, and we'll start with Mr. Getz with this one. Mr. Getz, what is your stance on the proposed downtown development project? Do you think it should be taxpayer funded or funded by the private sector?
When you say the downtown taxpayer or the downtown development project, it kind of depends on what you're talking about because there's more than one thing happening at downtown. We're looking at possibly building a new full service 4-star hotel down there. That is something that we're waiting on getting the feasibility study back from. That'll be presented this month to the council. And I think that's something that could be a catalyst to downtown development. I think the proposed Riverwalk goes too far. I think that that is something that could have a lot of those goals that you would seek from a Riverwalk done a lot less expensively by using a concept of a linear park that would follow the same general path as the Riverwalk, but it would be more of walking trails that are heavily landscaped, water features, well lit, and it could accomplish a lot of the same objectives without digging up all the infrastructure and moving all the dirt that you'd have to do.
Thank you, Mr. Getz. And now, Mr. Naveau, what is your stance on the proposed downtown development project? Do you think it should be taxpayer funded or funded by the private sector?
Absolutely private sector. If we are on the hook for any kind of money, bonds, the city puts up money somehow for any of these projects and they rent out for a while or give these leases to, these buildings, restaurants come in, things like that. If it's not successful, the private individuals that own these restaurants and businesses along a Riverwalk, so to say, they could just close the doors and leave, and the city would be stuck with the bill. So no, I do not propose that we should put any of the city money into it.
Thank you, Mr. Naveau. And now, Mr. Williams, same question for you.
Yeah, I think, the idea of a hotel downtown sounds good, and I don't doubt that there's a need. But as far as funding it on the backs of taxpayers, I just, I wouldn't support that. I think that if you're going to fund something like that, it should be with some sort of facility revenue bond where it is self-sufficient and pays for itself. I wonder to myself, if it's a good idea and we want to use, taxpayer dollars, then why hasn't someone done it already? If there's money to be made somewhere, people are going to come in and do something. People aren't just sitting around and saying, I could make a lot of money downtown by opening a hotel, but I'm not going to do so. So I just wonder, why hasn't it been done? And, I don't want to pay for it, and I don't want my neighbors to pay for it either.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. And now, Mr. Turner, same question. What is your stance on the proposed downtown development project? Do you think it should be taxpayer funded or funded by the private sector?
House Bill 5012. It's important we have a public-private partnership. Beaumont was established in 1838. We've talked about it for a long time. Multiple people say people should invest if they wanted it. Has it came? A 5-star hotel in our city, 4-star? Absolutely not. So in House Bill 5012, again, an economic development tool that cities use all over the state of Texas, it's a 15% tax stay every time someone stays in our hotel in Beaumont. Currently, the city gets 7% every time someone stays at a hotel. With House Bill 5012, instead of us getting 7%, we get the 6% that the state gets. So that doubles our ROI. That gives us 13% per stay per room. And we get that for 10 years. So it's important that we talk about these economic development tools and how we can utilize them to bring our city. If you keep doing the same thing over and over again, and you're not willing to travel outside of your city and use different tools in your toolbox, how can you be successful when funding projects this substantial?
Thank you, Mr. Turner. Mr. Samuel, same question to you.
I believe the public-private partnership would be the mix that would work for downtown Beaumont. One, the hotel, allow that to be a private investment, as well as then the public would be the city of Beaumont working with the riverfront and possibly with LIT or Lamar University and getting more people downtown by another campus downtown. So those are things that we can explore. And I believe that would be the best mix, public-private investment.
Thank you, Mr. Samuel. And now to you, Mr. Roy, what is your stance on the proposed downtown development project? Do you think it should be taxpayer funded or funded by the private sector?
If Beaumont was a perfect town where everything was great for everybody, then yeah, I would say it would be, good for taxpayers. But since we're not a perfect city, I don't believe that we should use taxpayers' money for it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Roy. And now we will start with Mr. Williams. We will start with you. How do you plan to work with law enforcement and the community to address perceived concerns about crime and public safety?
Yeah, I think, crime is something that there's no cure for it. You're not going to stop it. It's going to happen. And so, I think it's important first that, we staff these departments with everything they need to, whether it's address crime or with the firefighters and things of that nature. And, I just think giving them the tools and resources they need and giving them the opportunity to engage with the public. I feel like the police department has done a good job with that, with their PR officer. And, I would just continue down that route and remember that the people that work these jobs are people. And I think it's important that we humanize them and understand that, they're going to work every day and doing their job to feed their families.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. And now to Mr. Samuel. How do you plan to work with law enforcement and the community to address perceived concerns about crime and public safety?
Well, I think we have made good strides with the Real-Time Crime Center. That incorporates the private sector in using bail, the doorbell systems, access to cameras for the private industry. But then in the businesses, they can use that, utilize the infrastructure that they have to be more assertive to expanding that to the business areas of the town. And also, we have been taking advantage of using them on the streets by way of traffic lights, red lights. So that system has been proven to be beneficial across the country. So I would say it would be beneficial here in Beaumont.
Thank you so much, Mr. Samuel. And now, Mr. Naveau, the same question for you. How do you plan to work with law enforcement and the community to address perceived concerns about crime and public safety?
I have been serving and working with the police department on a volunteer basis over the past 2 years. Have gone through Citizens Police Academy. I've graduated that. I am on CPAAA, which is the Alumni Association. I took further training, Citizens in Action, where we actually ride around in our own police units and give out tickets to people that violate handicap parking spots. I go to the Police Advisory Committee meetings once a month, and I have been over the last 2 years to hear these concerns. I take what they say and I address it or get feedback, and I take it back to my neighborhood association and share that with everyone. The main things that I'd like to share are Real-Time Crime Center has been catching bad guys. They've been using the cameras. They've been using license plate readers. And just this past meeting, our police chief said that all homicides last year, they caught their suspect. And a lot of that's due to the Real-Time Crime Center. So we are making strides, but we do have more work to do.
Thank you, Mr. Naveau. And now, Mr. Turner, same question. How do you plan to work with law enforcement and the community to address perceived concerns about crime and public safety?
I think one of the first steps as an elected official is understanding the community that you actually want to serve. How can you represent people if you're not even around the people that you say you want to represent? The city of Beaumont has a low median income. We have people in the city that are hurting. They're really hurting. And if we're not around the people to understand the root of the cause that causes them to cause crime, how can we honestly say that we're going to be open to coming up with some form of a solution? Crime is the issue in Beaumont. Look at the demographic breakdown. Look at some of the issues that we see all over the community of Beaumont. The Real-Time Crime Center is something that I supported when I was on council, and I continue to support it. But you got to do community outreach. I partner with the Beaumont Police Department as well as the Sheriff's Department. I do an event every year around Christmas called Hoops for Toys. I actually play basketball. I almost died this year. But we play basketball and we raise toys for kids who may not be able to have a Christmas, because believe it or not, it's some families out here really struggling. We got to look outside of our neighborhoods where we're comfortable and get to know people who are going through things.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. And Mr. Roy, same question for you. How do you plan to work with law enforcement and the community to address perceived concerns about crime and public safety?
Yeah, I think the neighborhood meetings that we have now is a start. I think we need to have more of those and invite law enforcement more, because the more engagement you have with law enforcement, the better the community will be. I also think that the law enforcement should go into the schools more and start at that point, because that's usually where the trouble starts, is in the schools. I think we need to increase the presence there and go from there and see what can happen, because only good can come out of that when you start involving the kids.
Thank you so much, Mr. Roy. And Mr. Getz, same question to you.
A few years ago, we were having a bunch of smash and grab car break-ins at the hike and bike trails, and I led the charge to get cameras put out there. And once they were installed, guess what? A lot of those car burglaries disappeared. That led to going to the Real-Time Crime Center, which has been a game changer for the city of Beaumont. You know, criminals are not stupid. They know if they are going to get caught, they're probably going to do better off going to some community where they don't have a Real-Time Crime Center. And what we have seen since the implementation of the Real-Time Crime Center is sometimes these criminals are caught within minutes of the crime happening. We can actually monitor crimes in progress through the Real-Time Crime Center and track the criminal as they flee from the source of the crime. It's really done a great job for us.
Thank you, Mr. Getz. And this next round of this next question, we will start with Mr. Roy, because Mr. Roy, you did mention the schools. How can the city of Beaumont and Beaumont ISD partner to attract new families?
Well, that's a twofold question. I think once those two entities come together, they can start to create programs that can help the students. And could you repeat that one more time?
Sure. How can the city of Beaumont and Beaumont ISD partner to attract new families?
And that's the key. You have to start partnering together. I think they already meet as they do now. And I think we need to have more of those meetings where they can come together and start coming up with some ideas about what can make it better.
Thank you, Mr. Roy. And Mr. Getz, how can the city of Beaumont and Beaumont ISD partner to attract new families?
You know, the city has its role in government and the school district has its role in government. And sometimes there is overlap and there's things that you can do. But a lot of times when you look at it, their mission statements are very different. One of the things, though, that I think we can do is try to work with the school district to open up their gymnasiums in the summer and even during the school year to have activities. We've got one activity center in Beaumont in the North End. And a lot of times you have these schools that have gymnasiums that are not being used. And I would think that that would be an opportunity to develop youth programming. And when you have youth programming, you're probably going to help with your crime problem as well. So that is one area that I would like to see implemented better.
Thank you, Mr. Getz. And just a reminder, Mr. Getz is running for Ward 2 and Mr. Roy is running for Ward 3. So now we go to Mr. Naveau, one of the at-large candidates. Mr. Naveau, how can the city of Beaumont and Beaumont ISD partner to attract new families?
There's two things that we need to address, which would be, we'll call it mischief or crime in the schools, and then also the poor grades, and those combined are the reason that we have dismal, let's just say it, that dismal recruitment for large companies, even doctors. They can't get good doctors to come to our hospitals because they look at the school district and there's only a couple of private schools that they'd be interested in, and they're completely full. As far as collaboration, I suspect that BISD and the City of Beaumont Council, when they make meetings, I'm sure that they're trying to make progress and do the best that they possibly can. There's one that little thing you're talking about the mischief and all that. BISD and BPD are two different police departments, and it's my understanding they don't work well together, or not that they don't work well, but they do not work together at all, because of one's in charge of one and one's in charge of the other. I think that a collaboration between those two might help bring the mischief down in the schools, which might bring the grades up.
Thank you, Mr. Naveau. And now, Mr. Samuel, how can the city of Beaumont and Beaumont ISD partner to attract new families?
I think they could work more together by having co-ops and community forums, identifying those common concerns that we all have, like school crossings, guards. We did that at one time. There should be a way that our police department should be able to work together on issues that face our community. So I just think it's more co-opting. We're meeting now, but we have to identify those areas that we have a common problem, and work on common solutions to those problems.
Thank you, Mr. Samuel. Mr. Williams, same question for you.
Yeah, I think, collaboration and conversation is great. It can breed new ideas. But, it doesn't, it's not something that you can do just because you're in an elected position. I mean, if we're going to admit that the school district is struggling, then, then that's any individual in town can volunteer their time or get involved at the school and try to make a difference in some of these kids' lives that maybe don't have a home environment that is conducive for them to grow up to the best of their ability. And so, I think when you're an elected official, it's important to be involved and help these kids move forward. But, I think it's important to acknowledge that, maybe this collective city needs to come together and figure out a way to address the issue.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. And Mr. Turner, same question to you. How can the city of Beaumont and Beaumont ISD partner to attract new families?
I think the city as a whole needs to do a better job having transparent conversations. We have a lot of people in the community who say, well, I won't live in Beaumont because of the school district. And I understand that. But my question is, you can identify a problem, but if you're not involved in that problem, trying to come up with some form of a solution, how's that helping the problem? How many of us are actually volunteering and understanding the issues that these kids deal with in the city of Beaumont? How many of us know the median income of the district? It's easy to step on the outside and look at the problem and make comments, but what are we physically doing to get involved and do something to try to hinder and change that problem? I volunteer at the schools all the time. I've done home visits for kids. I've helped out. I do all kinds of things. I have kids. My kids go to BSD. I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm a volunteer. I volunteer at the schools all the time. And if you take all the good kids out of something and they leave it and you look at it after that, what would you have left? We got to do a better job supporting what we have here in Beaumont.
Thank you so much, Mr. Turner. And now we are going to our next question, and we will begin this round with Mr. Naveau. What are innovative ways to attract new businesses and young professionals to Beaumont?
We do have a community development director, which does work full time on that. I've been in contact with her on about a weekly, bi-weekly basis to kind of see what new ideas she has. She's blatantly told me that we have non-disclosure agreements in place and there's only a limited amount of things that she can tell me. But there are things in the works, according to her, that we'll have some pleasant surprises coming soon of businesses that she's working and doing outreach to bring into the community, even if it's just restaurants that we'd be happy to attend. But she is reaching out to businesses and companies to bring in employment, not just recreational fun things like that. So I believe that if we give that department a chance and allow her to do her job, that with the support of City Council, that we might see some good things come here.
Thank you so much, Mr. Naveau. Mr. Williams, same question to you. What are innovative ways to attract new businesses and young professionals to Beaumont?
I think it starts with having some pride and being from Beaumont. Attracting new is great, but I want Beaumont to be a place that when kids grow up, that they choose to stay here, that they don't move to Houston or wherever, but that they choose to stay in town or come back to town and invest, and then they're cut from the fabric of this city, and so they have an interest in seeing it grow, and then you build on that. I think if you create an environment where people who are from here choose to stay here, they raise their families here, then that goes on, and that's how you grow your population.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. And now to Mr. Turner. What are innovative ways to attract new businesses and young professionals to Beaumont?
One of the goals I tasked our city manager with when he got the position was we needed an economic development department to partner along with the Chamber of Commerce. We needed to be more supportive of the Chamber of Commerce. I looked at the things we did with the Chamber of Commerce. We didn't have a actual economic development plan. That was one of the goals I tasked him with, and we were able to, for the first time in a long time, we actually really have an economic development plan that we can go from in order to attract some of these things for young professionals. Another thing was with the economic development director, we need somebody that was exciting, someone that knew this community, someone that would fight for this community. And I was thankful when I seen that Christina Loki was the one who actually got the job, because I think she's perfect for the city of Beaumont because she loves this city. But our tongue is powerful. When you get on social media and you go out in the community, you hear the things that we say about our own community. What makes you think an investor would want to come spend a lot of money here and invest when we're always being negative about our own community? We got to be more positive about our city.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. And now, Mr. Samuel, same question to you. What are innovative ways to attract new businesses and young professionals to Beaumont?
Well, again, I think, one, we have to take advantage of the social media that's the coming trend. And we have to give our residents a reason to want to stay in Beaumont. And once we can begin to help them to understand how important it is for us to work together in unity and come together, then I think we can attract those from outside, because they will see what it is we're doing in our city together.
Thank you, Mr. Samuel. Mr. Roy, same question to you. What are innovative ways to attract new businesses and young professionals to Beaumont?
I think once Beaumont becomes more investor friendly, that those things will come because we have a lot to offer in the city. And I have at least 4 grandkids that always speak to me about things that they would like to do. I would like, for us to have more IT things come out here. And I think the city is prime for that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Roy. And Mr. Getz, same question to you.
I've actually been working with Councilmember Turner on a concept to have more entertainment districts in Beaumont, such as what we used to have at the Crockett Street, where you could have nightlife and have music outside and not be bothering residents with the loud music. So I think that's something that young people like. I think I mentioned earlier about a tech hub. I'd like to see that develop downtown, possibly offer free Wi-Fi in the downtown business district. I think when you're talking about young professionals, this is something that they're familiar with and that is something that they would like. Utilize our museums that are underutilized right now and promote them. We've got to get some of these buildings that are downtown occupied, and we've got to get more people living downtown. So a lot of young people like to live in an urban setting, and downtown could be that if we do the things that I just suggested.
Thank you so much, Mr. Getz. And now we've reached our final question. But remember, after the final question, we will have a 2-minute closing statement from each of one of you. But first, we got to get through the final question. And we begin with Mr. Getz. Beaumont has a negative perception among its residents and those from outside the area. What will you do to change the perception of the city?
Well, I think it was mentioned again by Councilmember Turner about fighting the misinformation that is put out there a lot. Yes, we do have a negative perception because we're always branded as being high in crime and poor in education. We do have some crime issues, but it is important to show what we're doing to fight that crime. And as far as education, again, BISD is a separate entity than the city, but there are some very, very good private schools that you can put your schools in. And even in BISD, there are paths that you can follow. Most of the problems with education doesn't stem from lack of quality in the school district. It stems from problems that are in the home. When you have a good home environment, which is something outside the city's control, but I've always noticed how when you have parents that care about their education, they tend to thrive. When you have parents that don't care, they tend to struggle. There's not much the city can do about that, but we do need to make sure that people know there are places they can put their schools to get a good education.
Thank you, Mr. Getz. Mr. Roy, same question to you. What will you do to change the perception of the city?
Well, sometimes when you speak about things that people maybe call negative, I call that being truthful. And I think to start changing the narrative of Beaumont, you have to be more transparent and you have to be truthful. Do we have bad infrastructure? Yes, that's not false. Do we have a lot of crime? Yes, we do. But until you start speaking your truth, nothing is going to change in the city because you're going to continue to do the same things over and over. So being truthful is not being negative, it's being truthful. And I think that's what's missing a lot in Beaumont is truth and transparency. So I would do my best to bring transparency to Beaumont because it's needed right now. Like I say, it's not being negative, it's being truthful. Like I say, we have bad things that's going on. And until we address those issues head on, nothing will change.
Thank you, Mr. Roy. And Mr. Williams, same question to you. What will you do to change the perception of the city?
Yeah, I think perception follows action. And so when citizens see results, when infrastructure improves and, crime is addressed and businesses thrive and people invest in this city, that the perception will change. But I think it's important that we tell the story of Beaumont better. And this city is full of people with heart and grit and who have clawed their way from the bottom to the top. I mean, there's a lot of success stories in this town that are inspiring to everyone. And so, I think we latch onto that and, fight to make changes that are positive for the entire city and change the perception. I mean, perception isn't always reality. So words are words, and I think we do what we can to the best of our ability.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. And now, Mr. Turner, same question to you about how would you change the perception of the city?
Well, one of the things that's important to know that the city of Beaumont did put funding towards mental health. Mental health is a serious thing in Beaumont. You see people who are outside on side of the road, and you see some of these projects like that came to Beaumont, like our new mental health hospital that's under construction. But it's important that we address mental health because we have some serious things going on in the city of Beaumont. Misinformation, I can't say it enough. Just because you think it's true, don't mean the information is correct. It's very important that people understand we have to fact check things that people say on social media. You can't say you want to lead a city and grow a city if you have no solutions to bring to the table to grow this city that you want to reside and be over. It's important we have solution-driven elected officials that are okay with working with everyone. One thing about me, I can say I have got a project done with every council member on the council. And we can disagree one day, and the next day I'm calling everybody ready to talk and move forward and work again. That's what it's going to take.
Thank you so much, Mr. Turner. Mr. Samuel, same question to you. What will you do to change the perception of the city?
I think the only way that we will change perception is by results. We have to stay the course on the strategic plans that we've made. And as we see these strategic plans unfold, then the people will begin to believe in the planning. And if we can continue to do that, then I think the citizens of our city will buy into the belief that Beaumont is changing.
Thank you, Mr. Samuel. And Mr. Naveau.
The number one thing that's going to make a difference is parent involvement, community involvement, and nonprofit involvement with BISD. I've taken the initiative on my own after I ran for school board. Unfortunately, I wasn't seated, but I got with Dr. Allen and I asked her, what could I do? I said, I have a nonprofit, Make Ends Meet. We help single parent families, low to moderate income. And I came up with an idea. She said, well, we do a backpack drive. So we have been doing that 2 years in a row. We're going on our third year. So we end up passing about 360 fully supplied backpacks at the school when they go through to go register. Do fun projects out at the Fire Fest and with the police department. And at the end of the year, we do what's called an angel tree. So we give out gifts to all the kids that are involved with our organization. So I do reach out to those families, and I do have an ear for them. But this is just going to take massive community involvement and parent involvement to get the perception of BISD to turn around.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for answering the questions. Now you will each get 2 minutes for a closing statement, and we will begin with Mr. Samuel.
Proven experience and leadership. I love Beaumont. I'm dedicated to making Beaumont a better place to live, work, and play. And I think I've shown that. But I can't do it alone. I have to be a part of a team, and I try to work as a team player. But I need your help. I need each one of you to cast your vote. I will continue. I am committed to making Beaumont a better place to live, work, and raise our families.
Thank you, Mr. Samuel. And now to you, Mr. Turner.
Again, I applaud anybody for putting themselves out there to run for elected office because, again, when you run for office, you're literally a moving target. I remember being out to dinner with my wife. We can be out to dinner at Papados, and I have several families and several different people come up to me and address problems that they have going on in the community. One night I got a call and I'm in the hospital with my daughter, but that didn't stop the citizen from saying what they needed to say to me. But I understand I signed up for this position. And I ask everybody that is running to make sure you prepare your family to know this is a position we all signed up for, because it's going to take you away from your family. But one thing I think is very important, that we understand the way government works. It's people. Then it's the elected officials. Then we get the direction of staff. And it's important that we understand the way this process works. And we need to know as elected officials, if one person says they can get a major project done by themselves, I'm telling you, I thought that when I first got on council. It's not true, guys. It's no way possible. If you're always fighting and arguing with the people that you want to go to work with, more than likely your work environment will be toxic. I pride myself in being the one on the council that I try to make sure we always in a good work environment, we can all work together. I literally work with all my council members, and I encourage us, if we disagree, let's be adults and let's move on, because we got kids watching us that want to be in our seats. We got businesses watching us that want to come to our community. And if we're not conducting ourselves properly, do we think we're really going to get that type of economic development in Beaumont? I encourage everybody to learn more about my platform. On my website, I break everything down to the T. VoteAJTurner.com. So if you want to watch my website, you can go there and you can see all my economic development plans and the big six. That's what I focus my platform around. But lastly, I think it's important that I actually have a survey on my website. We represent 115,000 people. I need you guys to go fill out that survey and let me know what's important to you guys so I can advocate for it.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. And now to Mr. Naveau. You will have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
I think that the competitive spirit between all of us up here and even the other folks running for council is pretty high this time of the year. We're all working very hard. It's very stressful. It's difficult. A lot of financial strain, a little sleep. But I think as soon as the election's over and people are seated, all that competition, all that competitive spirit's put aside, and we have to unify as a council, whether we're elected or not, and still be involved. I've committed to that. This isn't the first race that I've ran. I've lost, and I've every time ended up with more things that have been asked of me that I wanted to do, and I appreciate being involved with it. So even if you don't get elected, there's appointments, there's other things that you can still be involved in. It makes a difference. It really does. I've got to serve its heart, and whether I'm elected, whether I'm appointed, or whether I'm asked, I'm going to continue to serve the city. I love this place, and I want to make a difference in whatever capacity that you guys allow me to. I will say I'm ready to work. I'm ready to work with this new council. We don't know how it's going to look, but there will be 7 of us, and we do have to work together. Like one of the other gentlemen said, it's going to take 4 votes to get anything done. And if we're pulling in 7 different directions, we're never going to work as a city council, and the whole city is going to fail as a result of it. So I'm willing to work with the entire council, put any kind of fun camaraderie and all the, poking each other at the, at Rogers Park when we're out there for 7-8 hours a day in the sun, passing out push cards and all that. Like I said, there's a time and place for that, and it's while we're running. But after we're seated, it's time to get to work and do what we have to do and what we promise this community. They expect it, and they deserve that of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Naveau. And now Mr. Williams.
Yeah, thank you to the chamber for having us here today. It's nice to speak, and we've all got to say a lot of things, but I believe that leadership is about more than just getting up here and talking. It's about responsibility, and I've dealt with that in my private life. I've built a business. I've made tough decisions, and it's a part of my everyday life. And so I think city council has a clear job, and if we do that job correctly, if we fix broken infrastructure, if we support public safety and create a foundation for economic growth, then that benefits the entire city. And so I'm excited for the opportunity to run, and hopeful that I have an opportunity to serve the city of Beaumont. And thanks for having us here today.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Those have been the 4 men that are running for at-large. Now we'll hear first from Terry Roy, who is a candidate for Ward 3.
All right. It's difficult sitting up here because I'm not your typical politician, but what I am is a typical advocate I've advocated for many things in Beaumont and have gotten quite a few things done. And that's what I want to continue if I'm elected. I have people call me daily about problems that they have, and I email these guys that's sitting up here, and that's what I do. I like helping people because I was behind that curtain when I needed help, and I want to strive to continue to do that because I love Beaumont. Like I said, I've been here 64 years, and I love this city. I want to see it grow. I want to see us having to turn people down because we have too many people here, too many businesses. I want to be a part of that change. And I'd appreciate any vote that comes my way. And I want to thank the chamber for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roy. And Mr. Getz, your 2 minutes for your final statement.
Beaumont is so rich with opportunity. It's strategically located near the beaches, a short drive, near the lakes, a short drive, near one of the largest cities in the country, just a short drive, or the glitz of the casinos in Lake Charles, just a short drive. All of that's just an hour away, any way you go. We have so much to be thankful for here in Beaumont. I personally could live anywhere I choose to live, but I choose to live in Beaumont because I love the city. I love the people in the city. I love the friends that I have in this city. Beaumont is a wonderful place, and I want to see it grow. One of the things that I have become known for since I've been on city council is constituent service. As Councilmember Turner said, one council member can't do anything by themselves, but one thing they can do is return phone calls, return emails, return text messages, and try to help those constituents that have problems get those problems solved. I take pride in doing that. As I alluded to earlier, that goes back to the training I had in Boy Scouts to help other people at all times. I don't consider myself a politician. I consider myself a public servant. And it is my great honor in life to be a public servant to the citizens of Beaumont. And I ask that you allow me to continue to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I now pass the mic to Miss Amy Lavoie.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, candidates, for your participation this evening. We greatly appreciate it. And thank you to our audience here and at home. Angel, thank you.
Thank you.
And to Jeremy, he's our sight, sound, and man in the back that's taking care of our streaming. This concludes our second Town Hall Forum. I hope next week you will join us, April 8th, 4 o'clock here, back with the mayoral candidates. So thank you for your time and have a great night.